The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There was this boy raised somewhere in the middle of America, Jewish parents who, went to synagogue 3 days a year, Kippur, 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. They made a Seder with like matzah and little rolls of bread. And they lit a menorah because you got to have something, and they put a tree outside their house also just to be diverse. And this is Greg. And outside they had an only son named Greg, and finally it was time for Greg to go to college. It's a true story, and it's crazy. So they decided that Greg is going to go to this Catholic college that really only accepts non-Jews. But that's the college to go. It's a really, really advanced college. It happens to be an old boys' college. And it's a great college. He's going to get a great job and have a great future if he gets to this college. Son, he did great at his SATs, and he really did well in school, and he's a really, really intelligent boy. And finally it's time for Greg to have the meeting with Father Michael, the head priest of the college. And now obviously we can't let him know that we're Jewish because they don't take Jews into the school. They're sitting and they're talking. And in the middle, Father Michael turns to the boy and he says, Greg, tell me honestly, are you a Jew? So he was a little, yes I am. He says, oh, you're Jewish. He says, we have a rule in this college. You must take religious courses. Like we teach Catholic courses for a few hours a day, and it's mandatory. But Father, we really want our son to go to the college, and we really feel like he's going to do well in the college, and we need him to go to college. He says, these courses are mandatory. So he says, and I don't think it's appropriate for a Jew to be sitting in Catholic classes. He says, but Father, he says, so here's my thought. I'll take him into the college with one condition. He has to sit through the religious classes, but he can't sit through Catholic classes. So he has to take 1 hour of Jewish classes every day. Father, where's he doing that? You're a Catholic college. He says, I'm going to teach him. Every day, he's going to sit with me for 1 hour, and I am going to teach him. And to tell you the truth, your son seems to be woefully ignorant about his religion. So I'm going to teach him every day Jewish studies. Okay, anything to get our son in, no problem. They walk away and the father runs the whole college. He's going to have an hour every day to learn with this kid. Sure enough, first day of college, Greg, come to my office. That night, he sat for an hour. Started teaching him Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet. Next day, Greg to the office. And the next, and the next. First it was annoying. Before you know it started to get a little exciting. Greg's starting to learn. He's learning different things. And he starts to learn Chumash. And he starts to learn Rashi. And he starts to learn Gemara with Father Michael. He finally comes home before winter break, and his parents see Greg's a little different. And they're like, Greg only wants to eat vegetables. Greg, we're going out to eat to a nice steakhouse Friday night. He says, nah, I'm tired, I just want to stay home. Whenever they see him eating, he's like mumbling something before he eats. They're sitting in the steakhouse without their son that they had planned and were all excited about. And the mother's telling the father, our son, he's a little strange. He's acting a little different. I don't know, what is he mumbling? And he's not coming he won't come with us to the rest. It's his favorite steakhouse. He won't come with us. He doesn't eat meat. All of a sudden the father says, oh my goodness, how did I not see it? He's becoming religious. The mother said, what are you, crazy? He's becoming religious. What do you think he's doing? The words, the Saturday, he won't come, the food. It's religious. Forget the dinner. They went racing back home. They come into the house on Friday night. It's totally dark. And there's Greg sitting there with a couple of Shabbat candles, eating some food and reading next to the candles. The father gets enraged. My son! What are you doing? My only son! What happened here? He says, what are you? He says, I am a religious Jew, Dad. What? How'd this happen? He says, I'm studying with Father Michael. And I became religious. He says, are you kidding me? What? The father and mother flipped out. Kid went back to college and kept studying with Father Michael. One day Father Michael recommended, why don't you go study in Israel? The semester was ending, and he was going to go at the end of the summer to study in Israel. Finally, on the last day of school, he goes into Father Michael's room. He says, Father, I have a question. I don't know, I'm embarrassed to ask it. He says, are you Jewish? He says, no. But let me tell you a little story. He says, when I was in my 20s, I was very enamored by the Holy Land. And so I went to Israel while I was studying to be a priest. And I went to the Wailing Wall, and I stood there. And this rabbi tapped me on the back and said, are you American? And I said, yeah. And he said, come, we have this yeshiva. And I said, it was Esh HaTorah. He said, I was so interested and curious about the Jewish religion, I went to the yeshiva. And I started studying under Rabbi Noach Weinberg. He says, I studied in the yeshiva like I was a Jew. I learned Aleph, Bet, Chumash, Rashi, Gemara. I learned everything, and I'm very smart. So I took in everything. I know more than most Jews. Finally, I get a call from my father. Michael, it's time to come back home. He says, if I could have, I would have converted to Judaism, but I just couldn't. I was becoming a priest. I couldn't. On the last day, I went to Rabbi Weinberg and I said, Rabbi, I want to tell you the truth. I'm a Gentile. Rabbi Weinberg flipped out. He says, you're a Gentile? You've been here for 4 months and we're studying and we're putting time and energy into you and you're not even Jewish? I don't forgive you. He says, I was so shaken by it. He says, I said, Rabbi, please. He says, I don't forgive you. He says, after the rabbi calmed down, after 5 minutes, he said, listen, you're going to become a priest. One day, if you cross the paths of a Jew, I want you to impact his life. And then I'll forgive you. He says, I sat there, when you first met you, I said, here's a Jew, a good Jewish boy who knows nothing. Here's my chance. Greg went off to Israel, and went off to Israel, and religious, got married, became a psychologist, and his parents loved him and loved his children.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org